In this video, we're going to take a look at some tips and tricks for type catalogs. Here we have a door family, and when I open a File Explorer, you can see that we have a type catalog, which is a text file with the exact same name as the .rfa family file. Now, when editing these text files, you can simply open up the text file and make modifications such as adding additional parameters, modifying parameters, and even adding additional types. But another thing that you can do is actually change the file extension to make it a CSV file. When I do that, I'm going to get a warning, but I'll go ahead and click yes. And then I have a CSV file that I can then edit. Now, before I dig into this example, I want to show a kind of a pitfall, if you will, of doing this. And let me open up this one, and you can see that we have the inch sign with the quotation marks for the type name. Now, if you want the quotation marks to appear in Revit in your type selector, you need to add double quotation marks, or I guess basically use your quotation mark button twice so that you have double quotation marks there, so that'll tell Revit that you want to show that in the type selector. But what I'm getting at is that when you change the file format to a CSV file, I'm going to go ahead and click yes, and then let's open it up. And I'm not even going to make any changes. I'm simply just going to, I'll just save it. But let's say you did make some modifications and then you change it back to a TXT file. It's actually going to change the formatting of all those quotation marks. So now you can see we have a lot. There's a lot going on now. And that's a problem because that's actually going to change our type names, which we do not want. We don't want to load types into a project and then load additional types that are really the same types. That can just get really confusing. So a couple things. You can either not even mess with it and just remove the quotation marks altogether. But if you do want those, then you can use Notepad++ to edit after you make changes in Excel to the CSV file. So if I right click and then I can select Edit with Notepad++, which is a different program. So you would need to get Notepad++ to install on your computer. And then you can open that TXT file in Notepad++, and there's a nice replace tool that you can use to then clean this up a little bit. So in this case, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So let me go ahead and enter that. And then I'm going to replace it with the double quotation marks. And then the next one we have looks like 3. So I'm going to replace those. And actually I may have missed one there. So let me do replace all again. Okay. And then lastly there, I can do a quotation mark 3 and then replace that with 3, and that'll clean up the ones that it added at the beginning. And now let me save it, and I'll go ahead and close this. And now when I open up that text file, you can see that we cleaned up all those quotation marks there. So just to summarize there, if you like the CSV file format so that you can use Excel and you have those quotation marks, you can use Notepad++ to go back in there and clean it up. All right, let's go back to our first example where we don't have those quotation marks. And if this is something that you would like to start using, then you may consider removing that from your naming conventions. But continuing on, we can add new types here in Excel. We can simply, you could drag cells, you could use formulas here. Just be aware that when you save the file, those formulas will not save along with the CSV file. So even if you make a copy to change to a TXT file format, formulas will not save in a CSV file. Additionally, let's add some more parameters here. But before we do that, let me go back to Revit and let's open the Family Types dialog. And you can see here we just have the one type, and then you can see all the parameters here. So what I want to point out is that, first off, if you want to add a parameter to a type catalog, it must have a value in the family. And what I mean by that is, if we look at the parameters that are already defined, so width and height, those have values, whereas these parameters, rough width and rough height, they don't. So if we define those in our text file, they will not load into the project because they do not have a value in the family file to begin with. So if I scroll on down, you can see additional parameters here that do not have a value. But like type comments, you can just simply add something like comment, and then you can go to your CSV file or your text file and add it there. So you just want to make sure that there's a value here first. Additionally, be aware that in the family, you don't see a parameter such as type mark. Okay, so that could be something that's commonly used, but it's not in the family, so you can't define it in your type catalog. All right, so just a couple notes there. And then, last thing here. So parameters like function, they have a drop down with certain values. So let's say, I'll show you how we can define that. So take a look here. We have function, and then the first value is interior, and the second is exterior. Okay, so I'm going to click cancel, and then I'm going to just close this file. And let's go back to our CSV file. So let's say we want to do type comments. So I'll enter type comments exactly like it appears in the family. And since it has a value in the family, we'll be able to define the parameter value here in the type catalog. The parameter type here is going to be other. It's a text-based parameter, so there are no units, and it's just other. And then let's also do the function, which will also be other. So once again, it's double number signs, and then the parameter type, double number signs, and the units if there are any. Okay, I'm going to just type a sample comment, and we'll just drag that down. And the function here, remember there was a drop down, and so what you need to do is that first value will be 0, and the second one will be 1. So it's either going to be 0 or 1, or however many are in the drop down. So it's based on the list, and so you just look at the list, and you can typically just go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's going to be the value. So let's just use all 0 for now, and we can come back and modify that. And then I'm going to save this file, and then go back to our File Explorer and change it back to a .txt file. And now when I load this family into the project, I'll select the family and click open. Now we get the specify types dialog, and you can see the parameters that we added. So I'm going to go ahead and select them all and then click OK. And then let's go activate the door tool, and you can see those families we just loaded in, or the family types within the single family. And I'll select a couple here, and we'll just place some randomly. And then I'll select one and click Edit Type. And we can see the function is interior. And I'll scroll down, and you can see the type comments is set to sample comment. All right, let's say you need to make an update. So I'm going to go back to the File Explorer, change the file extension to .csv, and then we'll open it up in Excel, and I'm going to change this to updated comment. And just so you can see that this works as well, I'm going to change this to 1 now. So we should change from interior to exterior. And then I will save the CSV file, and let's go back to .txt again. And now, in order to get these updates, instead of opening the family and loading it back in, we can just do insert, load family again, and then click open. And you could, if you just wanted one or whatever, but in this example I selected them all, I'll select them all again and click OK. And now let's go back and look at the type properties. Now our function is exterior, and our type comments changed to updated comment. So just some tips and tricks there to use Excel to update those type catalogs. Excel is much more user-friendly than working in a text file, and then also some pitfalls that you could run into. Howdy! Thanks for watching. If you'd like more free content from Click to BIM, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We also have affordable subscription options at click2bim.com, where you can access all of our videos. We also have an amazing search feature that allows you to search through every single word in all of our videos to help you quickly find the answers to your questions.